Hi, my loves. This is Lady Keturah. You are here with me, of course, for story time. And it's story time, Keturah. Story time, Keturah. So we are reading Marriage Boot Camp by Elizabeth and Jim Carroll. They had their marriage boot camp on WeTV. So, yeah. And of course, I'm sipping my Rosebud tea, strawberry slush. And it's very, very good. You see, it's almost gone. And the Rosebud tea is very good to lower your blood sugar levels. So now that's a new tea that I have on my website, which is www.loveherbstea.shop, and you will receive free shipping as well. And so you can make a shake just like this, a slush just like this with my tea bags that I have. All right, let's get started. Okay, so the last chapter, I didn't finish the whole chapter. It was like chapter 2, and it was about, marriage, boot camp sex in the marriage. I didn't really want to continue to read that, so you're always welcome to read that on your own and with your spouse as well. Okay, so chapter 3 is money. Quick quiz. Do you fight about money in your marriage? Do you seem to have the same argument over and over? Do you have stress in your relationship because of financial irresponsibilities? Does your financial situation make you feel frightened or of the future? Are you and your mate completely honest about your financial dealings? If you answer negatively, but make sure you answer, let your answers be honest, be the truth. If you answer negative to any of these questions, then you will benefit greatly from this chapter. Elizabeth's story. When Jim and Elizabeth got married, Elizabeth transitioned from life as a single working mother, raising 2 children, putting one through college and driving a 10-year-old car, to having a husband who would prove, this is so good, y'all. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. And so she was putting one child through college and driving a 10-year-old car to having a husband who would prove to be a very, very generous provider. One of the first things Jim did was surprise her with the new car. That really, hold on. She said he surprised her with a new car, and that really pissed her off. Whoa. Okay, I'm back. My phone storage wasn't like, it went out, so I had to delete some videos or whatever. So Elizabeth, where I left off was her husband had bought her a car, and Elizabeth was pissed off. All right, so she said, I was doing fine, thank you very much, and I did not need a sugar daddy. I figured that since we were combining incomes, she could buy herself a car with no problem. Isn't that still selfish though? Do you think that way? Like if your husband bought you a car and you gonna get mad because y'all are buying in y'all income so you could just buy your own car? That's selfish to me. She said, clearly, the meaning of this new car purchase, or the B in our action, belief, consequence. Remember the ABCs. A, action. B, belief. C, consequence. Was very different for each of them. Jim expresses his love with gifts because that's how he enjoys receiving it. But she perceived the gesture as a statement that she hadn't been able to take care of herself before they were married. And the fight was on. Todd's and Courtney's story. Todd and Courtney came to the marriage boot camp worn out from a chronic... Let's get into the bottom. So, you know, when you get to the bottom and that straw not really getting everything you need, it's like, now you gotta take the top off and try to drink it to get the good fruit at the bottom. Now that's good. Okay. They had a blended family. We're talking about Todd and Courtney. Each of them bringing 2 adult children to the new marriage. Their chronic battle was over how much money to give to the 4 children. Todd was financially successful and had always been very generous with his children. Excessively so, in his new wife's opinion, Courtney had been a struggling single mom before she met Todd. When I tell you, I'm sorry y'all, but my rosebud tea, strawberry slush. Now this is what needs to be sold in like these bars and stuff, I guess, before they close down. But y'all don't need, I'm not encouraging y'all to add no alcohol to it, because no, I'm not an alcohol drinker. I don't think y'all should. It don't need it. It's just that good. But this could be really served at any restaurant, anything. It tastes that good. Because I made it, of course. Okay. Okay. So Todd wanted to maintain his current level of being generous to his children, but Courtney thought that he should give less to his children and more to hers. So it was a level playing field. If not, she suggested that Todd simply reduce the amount of money he gave his children to match the amount given to her children. Todd felt that giving anything less to his children was unfair. Do y'all feel that way? They came into the marriage boot camp to get help with this financial problem, but the true source of their conflict was a much larger issue lurking below the surface. Before we move on, let's look at the conflict over money. In 2012, in U.S. News and World Report, Daniel cites the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants survey of married and cohabitating couples that found that disagreements over finances were more likely to turn into a full-blown argument than issues surrounding children, chores, work, or friends. Excuse me. Okay. And the data only gets worse. Boyce reports a 2011 study by Jeffrey Duke at Utah State University found that the divorce rate doubles for married couples who fought about money once a week. So this is the basically this lesson in this chapter so far is do not fight over money in a marriage. It's that easy. Okay. As compared with those who fought about money less than once a month, because you know that it's going to cause a problem. It's going to cause an argument. It causes people to divorce. It causes people to separate. It causes people to be disrespectful to each other over money. Over something that you can rip up. Or something that you can easily burn and it's gone. Like, it's not worth it. I'd rather have love, to be honest. All right. So, because I know God, first of all, God is love, and then God is gonna provide for me and my family, you know. So I'm not gonna struggle. I'm not gonna be stressing over no money. I'm not gonna be fighting. I'm not about to fight over money in my marriage. As I prepare for marriage, this is how I set my mind set up. So I'm helping others as you all prepare for marriage as well. Even if you don't have your engagement ring yet, you still got to prepare mentally this way of what you're going to accept in a marriage and what you already know that's going to cause problems. So whatever you know that's going to cause problems, like fighting over money, then don't bring that into your marriage. You are already going to have that set up where in your mind, okay, we're going to avoid that. We're not going to, you set your boundaries, you know, in your marriage. We're not going to fight over money in our marriage. That's it. Okay, so Mitch Temple, writing for the website's Focus on the Family, says that money is one of the major causes of friction in marriage and is reflected in the rise in popularity of prenup agreement and separate bank accounts. Underlying this friction is often a lack of trust and preference with your spouse. This is a real change for the way the world worked 20 or 30 years ago. The issue below the issue, the core issue. Why is money the issue that couples fight about most? Because money is, what she put? Money is symbolic. Maybe that's how you say it. So many other things. We may resolve a haggle over a certain expense, but the problem is that the issue below the issue still remains. Money doesn't just represent money. What she say? It represents love. I don't know. I don't feel that way. And then she say power, control, self-esteem, freedom. Yeah, that's what she put. Okay, so I'm skipping some stuff, y'all. Okay, she said, whenever you find yourself having the same fight over and over, it indicates that the real problem may be the issue below the issue or the core issue. If core issues are not dealt with, surface issues like finances will continue to rear their ugly heads. So let's look at the most common issue below the issue of money. Okay, so she put right here, love. If your love language is gifts, the representation of money, she said, as love is obvious. You feel most love when someone spends money on you, and you feel unloved when you are not being showered with gifts. Again, she said, there's nothing wrong with this. Although gold diggers and sugar babies have given the love as money formula as a truly bad name. So let's make distinction here for the record. Feeling love when someone buys you something is very different from flattering somebody in order to get money or have them buy you material things. If you are fighting about money because you don't feel love, therein lies the core issue. Power. Having a lot of money gives you a lot of power, she says. As with love, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Many wealthy people use their money to better the lives of those less fortunate. On the other hand, if your spouse uses having money to lord it over you and get you to do what he or she wants, then you're in a power struggle. Control. Let's state the obvious. Having money gives you a certain level of control over your life. Money can make life easier and give you choices and options in many areas. But life can never be completely controlled. If you are striving after money because you think it will make life predictable, easy, and trouble-free, you are sadly You are sadly mistaken. If you are fighting with your mate about money when the truth is that you actually want more control over your lives and want them to be more predictable, then you have just identified the core issue. Self-esteem. Being financially secure is a great way to boost your self-esteem. It can make you feel good about yourself to have achieved success. You're validated as a responsible, hardworking soul and wise investor. If, however, you need money to boost your low self-esteem because you think that it is impressive to have a lot of money, then you are locating your worth outside yourself, in your W-2 and in the approval of envy of others. If you are fighting with your mate about money, ask yourself if self-esteem is actually the core issue. Freedom. Money gives us freedom. The more money we have, the more money the people have, the more freedom they feel like they have. I feel like I don't have to have money to feel free, to have my freedom. I am living, okay? Okay, so I'm just reading. I be challenged by knowledge when I'm reading because I don't be want nobody to make me confused and make me try to believe something that I just don't believe. Okay. The freedom to try new business ventures, to leave a job that is no longer satisfying, or even to retire. Money, she says, money gives freedom to buy things like a house, a car, an expensive vacation, or a great education for the children. But money does not give us complete freedom, especially in a marriage. Relationships always require that we consider the needs of others as well as your own. If you are fighting about how you will spend your money, you may actually be fighting about the constraints that a relationship put on how you spend your money. Do you feel like you don't want to have to answer to anybody about how you spend? Then you have just identified the core issue. Yep, that's true. Oh, you know, when you get to the bottom and you be trying to get the fruit, but the lime is like right there on top of it. Okay. So that's a core issue. So don't go into a marriage feeling like you don't want your husband to have to answer. You don't feel like, don't go into a marriage where you feel, thinking negative, like, because it says, do you feel like you don't want to have to answer to anyone about how you spend? But if your husband asks you how you're spending your money, or you both of y'all money, don't be having in your mind like, oh, I ain't got to answer to him, or I don't have to answer to her. This is mine. That's the wrong way of thinking going into a marriage. Because remember, we go back to chapter 1. What is it? Communication, right? Okay. All right. So, family culture. How it says how they grew up has a tremendous effect on how we view and deal with money. If you grew up in a financially responsible family, then it's likely you will be a financially responsible adult. If, however, you grew up in a financially responsible family, you may have some bad habits to break, such as not understanding how to handle money or being extremely cautious and rigid when it comes to spending. In conflicts about money, it is very important to ask the question, is this familiar? If you are reenacting some of the challenges that you saw in your family growing up, then it's likely that you need to work with your mate on creating a new culture regarding money. Okay, so now financial personality. We have to accept that some people are spenders and some people are savers. Spending often want, and that's a great thing to like communicate with, with the person that you plan on marrying or even marrying, but to work on that so you won't just, have that problem where you are always spending, and then you don't have any money to go back to for emergency purposes. So it's all about communication in a marriage. Spenders often want a great deal of freedom, and savers often want a great deal of control. It's not unusual to find a saver marriage to a spender. The opposite attract notion in its healthiest expression is balance. We are attracted to those who complete us. A frank conversation about the type of personality that you would like to likely yield beneficial results from their negotiations begin. Compromising and appreciating the role that your mate plays in the life of is the part of the solution. All right, my love. So this chapter is very, very long. So yeah, I'm going to end that for tonight. I have some other things I have to get to. So I hope this helps you all, avoid fighting about money in your marriage. Because remember, that's what we're not going to do. We're not going to fight about money in our marriage.